Welcome back to the deep dive. For a lot of folks, hunting is more than just a weekend thing. It runs deeper. Today, we're digging into that transitions, moving from maybe the familiar stand on Grandpa's farm to chasing those, well, truly world-class destination hunts. Our sources really hammered this home. It's something ingrained.
That's spot on. You usually start out local, right? Maybe a small piece of land
Yeah.
or fighting the crowds on public ground. But if you're aiming for that, that hunt of a lifetime, maybe a specific trophy or a really pristine habitat, your options typically get narrower and more expensive. Historically, yeah, that meant guides, outfitters, big money.
Exactly. But what's fascinating in the analysis we've looked at is this alternative path, a different way to get that high-level experience, and it centers on the hunting lease.
Right. Using a lease gives you that control, that exclusivity you get with private land. But crucially, without the huge cost of buying the land yourself or, the daily rate you'd pay a guide, it basically opens the door for the self-guided hunter to access really well-managed properties, preserve spots, free from that constant hunting pressure you find elsewhere.
Puts the control right back where you want it with the hunter. So our mission today, let's unpack 4 top hunting destinations that really set up for that model. The self-guided hunt, made possible by a lease. We'll look at why the habitat works, and what makes the experience potentially world-class. Let's start with, well, a legendary spot for waterfowl.
Yeah, you always have to start in Arkansas. It gets called the Mecca of duck hunting.
Mecca. The sources use that word a lot. And when you see the numbers, like over 1 million ducks harvested statewide, okay, yeah, they mean it. What gives Arkansas that edge, that geographic advantage for so many ducks?
Well, it really boils down to 2 things, location and habitat, specifically flooded timber. Arkansas is smack in the middle of the Mississippi Flyway. So when those birds head south, they need places to stop, reliable places. And the sources point to thousands of acres of managed flooded timber. It's this unique mix: wetlands, rice fields, forests, all kept just right for waterfowl.
Okay, so if I'm dreaming of teal mallards,
Yeah.
why lease there instead of just hitting a public reservoir that might look good?
It's all about pressure. Duck hunting is incredibly sensitive to it. On public land, ducks wise up fast. They get educated, as they say. At least gives you that peace of mind. You know the land isn't getting hammered day after day. You control the pressure, the blinds, the decoys, the calling. And given those population numbers, the sources pretty much say exclusive access there sets you up for potentially the hunt of a lifetime.
That's a pretty strong case for the lease right there. Okay, let's shift gears. From ducks to deer, whitetail specifically, we're heading northeast to a state that might actually surprise some people, but the sources argue it hangs with any state for trophy quality: Indiana.
Indiana really is cited as a whitetail gem. And it's not just luck, it's because of some very specific proactive management decisions. Yes, definitely big deer potential, but the policies behind it are just as important.
Okay, so what policies make Indiana stand out from the pack?
Well, there are 4 things that really jump out. First, pretty affordable tags. That's always good, especially if you're coming from out of state. Second, they have what's called a $1 status.
$1 status. What does that translate to for the hunter on the ground?
It's essentially quality control for the herd. By limiting hunters to just 1 antlered deer per season, the state ensures more young bucks survive. They get older, they grow bigger. This leads to an older age structure overall in the buck population. And that, in turn, produces more of those really impressive, Boone and Crockett-level trophies everyone's after.
That's a huge lever to pull for quality.
Absolutely. Then the third factor, and this one's maybe the most compelling right now, especially compared to its neighbors, Indiana is certified CWD-free.
CWD, chronic wasting disease. For anyone unfamiliar, that's a major concern in wildlife management, isn't it?
Oh, it's critical. It's a neurological disease. It's fatal. It spreads among deer and elk. It affects meat safety concerns, long-term herd health. It's a big deal. So being certified CWD-free, that's a massive achievement for the state's DNR and a huge draw for hunters worried about, well, the health of the animals and the meat they harvest.
Okay, but if Indiana is CWD-free and neighboring states might not be, doesn't that drive up the price for those premium leases? How does that balance out for the self-guided hunter paying for the lease instead of an outfitter?
That's the interesting dynamic, yeah. The land might command a bit more because it's healthy, sure.
Yeah.
But remember, you're saving potentially thousands by not hiring the outfitter. Plus, the state DNR really backs up that value with transparency. They publish harvest data, historical, real-time, which is gold if you're trying to assess a leased property's potential. They even put out maps showing prime habitat areas every year. That knowledge is out there for the self-guided hunter. It empowers you.
That really is proactive management. And we should also mention something else the sources highlighted, a kind of a community aspect. The Sportsman's Benevolence Fund. Sounds like a great program, donating deer to help feed families in Indiana, connects the hunt back to the community.
Exactly. It just rounds out the picture. It shows a system where hunters are seen as, part of the conservation solution, not just taking from the resource.
Okay, so Indiana showcases smart policy for whitetail. Now let's look at a state that kind of dominates through sheer habitat volume. We're heading south now, thinking quantity, thinking wild space. Let's talk turkey hunting. Alabama.
Right. Finding decent turkey hunting, well, that's often not too hard. But finding truly great standout turkey hunting, that's a different story. And Alabama, it's consistently called a powerhouse, leads the country in turkey numbers.
Give us the stats then. What makes Alabama's claim so strong?
The big number is the population estimate. Around 500,000 turkeys within state lines. That's top of the charts, industry leading. And hunter participation is huge too, something like 600,000 licenses sold each year.
But wait, high hunter numbers elsewhere can mean high pressure. What's Alabama's secret for sustaining 500,000 birds with that many hunters? Is it just sheer size?
It's largely about the habitat. The key fact is that about 76% of Alabama is timber. That's not just a statistic, it's a massive biological advantage. All that timber means incredible mass production acorns, nuts prime food for turkeys. It also means tons of cover, thermal cover, helping the birds thrive through weather that might knock back populations in other states.
So getting a lease in Alabama, you're basically tapping into land where the odds are just biologically tilted in your favor because the state itself can support such dense populations consistently.
Precisely. You combine those ideal habitat conditions with the exclusive access a lease provides. You're locking down a spot that has proven high-density turkey populations year after year.
All right, let's round out our 4 spots. We've hit waterfowl, whitetail, turkey. Now, for the state that the sources peg as maybe the best overall destination, the multi-species option, again using that lease model, Kansas.
Kansas really does stand out for offering both diversity and quality, kind of balanced. Why does it rank so high overall? Simple. It combines that Boone and Crockett-level whitetail hunting with genuinely some of the best upland bird hunting, think pheasant and quail, that you can find anywhere in the country.
Let's just clarify, Boone and Crockett-level again, that's the standard, right? The club tracking North American big game records, so we're talking true trophy potential for whitetail.
Correct. Kansas consistently produces those record book bucks. But what makes it maybe the best overall trip, especially for a leaseholder, is the flexibility. You lease a property there and you likely have options beyond just sitting in a deer stand during the rut.
What kind of diversity are we really talking about here?
It's pretty much the full spectrum. It's a true hunter's paradise in that sense. You've got habitat supporting all 3 main species of wild turkey. Head further west in the state, you've got mule deer opportunities too. So imagine planning a longer trip. Maybe chase pheasants in the morning, hunt whitetail in the afternoon or evening, perhaps scout for turkeys if the season allows. A Kansas lease gives you that kind of unparalleled opportunity on one piece of ground.
That flexibility has got to be huge for someone investing the time and travel for a destination hunt. A lease there basically means you're not putting all your eggs in one basket, multiple high-quality options.
Yeah, it definitely spreads the risk, so to speak. Kansas just feels like a state that's really built around the hunter, the outdoorsman. It offers that quality and variety that's hard to find packaged together elsewhere.
Okay, that's a fantastic lineup. Arkansas for those exclusive flooded timber ducks. Indiana, you've got the CWD-free managed trophy whitetails. Alabama for just sheer numbers of turkeys thanks to habitat, and Kansas as the ultimate high-quality, diverse hunting trip. So pulling this all together, what's the main takeaway for someone listening, maybe thinking about making that jump from their local spot to one of these bigger destination hunts?
Well, the core idea is that, yes, destination hunting can seem daunting, maybe complicated or expensive. But this lease model, it provides that critical bridge. It lets the self-guided hunter access these top-tier properties without automatically needing a guide or outfitter. It really does make high-quality hunting more accessible in a way. Democratizes it, you could say.
And looking at the bigger picture, the source material brings in the other side of this equation, which is really interesting, the landowner.
Yeah, that's vital context, right?
Yeah.
For understanding why this model works and why it's likely growing. More and more landowners, especially in rural areas, are seeing the value, both ecological and financial, in leasing out hunting rights.
Oh.
It provides a really significant, often reliable, extra income stream for them. And maybe just as important, it helps with property security. You've got trusted hunters actively on the land, keeping an eye on things.
It creates this really powerful symbiotic relationship, doesn't it? The hunter's lease payment directly helps fund private land management, conservation efforts on that land, and security. So maybe the final thought for you to chew on is this. Beyond just getting a great spot for your hunt, think about that lease fee. You're not just buying access, you're actually providing the direct financial incentive for that landowner to keep that land as prime habitat. In a way, these leases are becoming a kind of private funding engine for conservation, ensuring those high-density populations, the Arkansas ducks, the Indiana deer, the Alabama turkeys, aren't just there next year, but for the long haul. Something to think about until our next deep dive.